How long have you guys been breaking ground for? How long has it been a process?
5 years. This has been a 5-year process.
No way.
Because getting the permits was a huge pain.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And you guys actually, I think, built a structure from the ground up, right?
Yep, from the ground up.
This episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Re-Up Recovery, high-quality products that provide fast-acting pain relief. Created by working stunt professionals, their pain relief roll-on formula allows you to overcome ailments and then relax with anti-inflammatory ingredients in their deep tissue cream. Visit ReUpRecovery.com and use the code JAM to save 20%.
What's up, guys? Today's guest is a professional stuntwoman. Please welcome to the JAMCast, Lorena Abreu.
Hello.
What's the proper way to say your name?
Lorena or Lorena Abreu or Abreu. If I know you're talking to me, then it's fine.
My tongue just can't do the rolling thing that well. So.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. Oh, so how's everything been? Like, it's crazy. I didn't know for the longest time that you're here in Los Angeles now.
Yeah, I actually moved here in 2019, but I went back home to Texas for the pandemic because my dad's actually a pulmonary and ICU doctor.
Wow.
So he told me like 3 days before the shutdown, Lorena, fly home because everything's going to shut down.
No way.
And I thought, that sounds a little dramatic. I said, that sounds a little crazy.
Exactly.
But then like 3 days later, they shut everything down.
Wow, that's
But
crazy.
I kept my apartment here the whole time. And thankfully, my stunt work has picked up for no reason whatsoever since October last year. So I've been here working here.
Well, there's a good reason. There is a lack of talented females for I guess lack of a better explanation. So someone as talented as yourself, you're definitely going to have a huge career as long as you just continue to like not get injured and stay safe. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you so much for the kind words.
Of course. But I guess the cool thing about it though is that obviously you're here in Los Angeles now, but I do see you take a bunch of trips back to Texas, and it's for a very good reason. And so what is the reason you go back to Texas? I know it's kind of like hooked into this gym that's in development right now. You can let people know about it?
Yes, thank you for bringing it up. I appreciate it. So my mom is building a multi-use sports facility that is going to be completely indoors. It's going to feature 4 indoor tennis courts, which will be the only indoor tennis courts in McAllen, in Pharr, Texas, within a 150-mile radius. So for a place that gets to 115 degrees in the summer, it's going to be the closest tennis courts beyond the ones that are 3 hours away.
Wow.
And it's going to have a multi-use gymnasium for our after-school kids program, which is the fun program. They're getting rid of recess and PE in a lot of schools, unfortunately, and the school districts around there. So we want a place for kids to engage in physical education and sports without the necessity of it being competitive. Just to play sports to have fun. Yeah. And that first floor will also have 4 studios where we'll offer, I'd imagine, yoga, Pilates, dance classes, martial arts perhaps, and a cross-training gym.
Yes.
Like a full-on cross-training fitness area. And the second floor of all of that is the parkour gym.
Crazy.
Yeah.
That is insane. And this, I mean, for anyone that hasn't seen videos of this place, looks massive. Do you know how many square feet it is?
Is it? I think it might be like, I'm scared to say the wrong number. I'd be like
right? Yeah.
10,000.
Really? Wow.
It's really big, and I'm really, really excited about it because, well, I guess I'll just start from the top, but I'll make it brief. My mom, many years ago, told me that she wanted to build a gym that included a parkour gym. She fell in love with parkour ever since she met the community, ever since she saw me going to jams and saw guys just being very wholesome and spotting me and giving me advice and working up safely to doing parkour things. She fell in love with the sport. She wanted to open a facility that featured a parkour gym. And I told her, I'm not trying to live in South Texas. And she said, but can you help me? And I said, yes.
Totally.
So I'm the project coordinator, and it's a blanket term for just doing what needs to be done.
Yes.
So I've made the website, the socials, of course, and I've put together the parkour team. I'm working on putting together the parkour team that's going to work there. And Brandon Douglas gave us a basic layout of like where the spring floor would go, where the big elements of the gym would go on Google SketchUp. And then thankfully from a random skill from senior year, I used Revit to build out the rest of the parkour gym.
Totally. Okay.
So we're getting to revive a couple of dead spots.
Yes, I've seen
I literally
this.
cried when they just demolished Singapore, when they
Yes.
demolished Bedok Maze in Singapore.
Yes.
So I, with CP's help, Dennis Steer's help,
Yeah.
I got the dimensions.
No
And I put
way.
2 pieces of actual Bedok Maze in there.
Crazy. Okay.
I just watched a bunch of videos and saw which parts of the maze people used the most.
Yeah.
And thanks to Joseph Marx's help,
Yes.
we got the actual dimensions for Vauxhall.
Yes.
So Vauxhall's right next to Bedok Maze, the actual Vauxhall.
So sick.
We've had to make some adjustments here and there for stability because, this is plywood and they're very sturdy, but thankfully the small changes only add challenges.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's going to be massive. The tallest structure in the gym reaches 17 feet.
Whoa. No way.
Yeah. And we even
Insane.
got a descent wall and we're going to have a foam pit.
Okay.
The free running quote unquote area that is going to be designed to emulate Santorini.
Yeah.
Joey Adrian consulted with me on that. So I literally had Joey Adrian on Zoom and I asked him, okay, Joey, if you were standing here, what do you wish you had?
Yes. Yes.
And that's how I did that entire area.
Crazy. And so, like, what's the name of the gym, or what's it going to be called, and where's it located for people interested in it?
Sorry, I just realized that I talked a lot.
That's what the point of this podcast is. People aren't on here to hear me talk. They're here to hear me ask a question and then you elaborate.
Oh, thank you. The gym is going to be called Kiskeya with a K because Kiskeya with a Q is the Taino or the native name for the island that has the Dominican Republic and Haiti.
Okay.
So yeah, Hispaniola is the name that the colonizers gave it.
Okay.
Kiskeya is the original Taino name of that island. And that's where we're from. That's where my family's from.
I was so
So,
curious when I saw it.
Kiskeya with a K.
I had no chance of saying it, but I was curious. And then when do you guys expect to open to the public?
There have been a lot of delays, obviously, because of COVID and
Supply
a lot of
chain
unexpected
issues.
changes. The price of wood went up 600%.
Yes.
That's an actual figure.
Yes.
That's crazy. But because of COVID delays, we can't be super sure, but it's looking like June.
Wow. And how long have you guys been breaking ground for? How long has it been a process?
5 years. This has been a 5-year process.
No way.
Because getting the permits was a huge pain.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And you guys actually, I think, built the structure from the ground up, right?
Yep, from the ground up.
Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Bless you. I
That's
think.
crazy. Yeah. That's crazy. So you actually like poured the concrete, built the structure, built the
Yes.
walls and everything.
Yes, I got to be there for the groundbreaking. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
That is wild. And so how many people are you guys going to have on staff? Is this like a massive undertaking?
That I don't know. Thankfully, we have our general manager and a business administrative manager, I guess, designer. She's helping my mom design the business structure of the gym. Her name is Maggie Spalas,
Okay.
and she is actually a former parkour coach herself as well.
Yo.
And she still trains parkour. She's so cool. She used to be Rail Flow is Not Lame on Instagram.
Oh, yeah. I totally know who that is. Yeah. Okay, yeah, totally.
And now she's Cultivate Movement on Instagram, but I love her. She knows the answer to that question. I don't.
Okay.
But right now we have our quote unquote seasonal coaching staff kind of planned out, ready to go. So we have hired 5 parkour people total.
Okay.
We're looking to hire.
And will you go back and help quite often or just check in?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, whenever I have time, whenever I can, I go down. We actually just met 4 of them recently.
Okay.
So I flew down for that. There's literally one guy in the area who trains parkour. So we've had to look for coaches out of state.
Okay.
And for them, my mom has a house, a couple of houses down from ours that we call the Fortaleza.
Nice.
It's a little nod to Exatlon, the show I was on. She bought that house for my grandma to live in, but she remodeled and expanded it to have a lot more bedrooms. So we've invited the coaches to stay there
Wow. Sick.
for a seasonal or trial period of 3 months, see if they like it. That way it's no risk. They don't have to,
Yeah.
get an apartment. And if they like it and we like them, and they stay.
Super cool. Well, I'm excited to see what happens. It looks like an astronomically huge gym, so it'll be a huge part of the community.
Thank you. Oh, and I forgot to mention the gym also has a 54-foot bouldering wall.
No way. First floor, or where's this at?
In the parkour gym.
Holy crap.
Behind Vauxhall.
That is crazy. Yeah. Well, everyone check it out when it comes out. I'm sure there'll be a huge grand opening. So
Absolutely.
Hell yes. And so with that being tied in, obviously your mom learned about the parkour community through yourself. How did you learn about parkour? If I'm not mistaken, you were back in college when you first discovered it, right?
Yeah, I was a whole adult. I was at Full Sail University in Orlando studying film.
Okay.
And some guy in class said, yo, you guys want to go check out this gym that has parkour on Saturdays? I was like, yes. I didn't really know what parkour was, but it sounded cool. Okay. So I went. It was just, a cheer gym with a spring floor and a few mats. But there I met some of the local community. I met Gareth, from Rilla Hops. And through him, I met Jimmy and Caleb afterwards. And it first started with me just going out to film them, to make videos for them and make YouTube videos. And of course I was trying parkour, but I never thought I could be an athlete. Yeah. I always liked doing sports, but I was never really good at any of them. But parkour went from being something I was kind of trying to do to a hobby to a full-blown, frequent pastime to a full-on obsession, very quick.
And so did you have any acrobatic background at all? Or what were the sports that you did as a kid? Did any of them lend itself to parkour?
I think so, because the sports that I did tended to be power sports. Okay. I played baseball as a kid. Wow. I competed in tennis through high school. I liked dancing.
Yes.
So I had some base level proprioception. I did track and field in the 2nd grade.
Oh,
so I knew how to jump and I knew how to plyo.
Okay.
So yeah, so the jumping is what felt most natural to me.
And so how quickly did you get obsessed with the sport, I guess? Did you start practicing every day, or what was the progression of that?
Yeah, it became very quick. I think within 3 months of me being around parkour people, I was gone. Wow. I was all the way gone.
No way.
It was all I could think about. I went to sleep. It was all I was thinking was the challenges that I wanted to do, because it filled a hole that I didn't even know that I had.
Yeah.
Because I've always been very hyperactive. I could not sit still. I'm either being very hyper and moving around, or I'm asleep. I've accidentally conditioned myself to literally knock out when I don't have enough stimulation.
Crazy.
It was bad. And in university, it's not useful.
Yeah.
But parkour taxes you in a way that's very different to other sports. Mm-hmm. Because parkour, for me personally, is taxing mentally.
I was going to say, yeah.
Mostly because I'm scared out of my wits all the time. I'm a huge baby. I'm scared of everything. But also because, parkour is about putting together a line, minimizing things that are inefficient or things that just don't look nice.
Yeah. So
it's like putting a puzzle piece together.
Totally.
And filming it, putting it on the ground. So the process.
And so I only ask this because nowadays we're very, very lucky with so many gyms that exist and stuff like this. Back when you started, it wasn't that big of a sport. So just in general, were you one of the only females within your community, or did you have other females to train with back then?
Yeah, I was. I used to kind of suffer. Well, not suffer. I used to kind of had that pick-me-girl mentality. Yeah. Because I didn't understand the necessity for female-only parkour spaces or conversations that I was seeing other women trying to have in the community online. Yeah. Because when I started, I literally was the only girl. Totally. There wasn't an actual parkour gym, and I don't think I had a gym to actually train at for my first 3 years training. And then Nikki came along, and it was just me and her. But for a long time, it was just me. But the guys never made me feel uncomfortable. They never made me feel otherized. Yeah. Just, I suppose, in my particular community, especially with Caleb and Gareth, it just felt very normal. I didn't even think about the fact that I was the only girl until I saw those conversations happening online, discussing the disparity between men and women in the community and the effort to make more female inclusive events and spaces. And at first I didn't understand. I didn't see the point. I said, I was like, if you like parkour, you just do it. But I'm going to bring up this anecdote because I think it's really relevant. The thing, I was trying to understand. It's not like I was trying to be like, I'm not like the other girls.
Totally. Yeah.
But I really didn't get it. I didn't get it until I was teaching privates here and there. I was staying in New York at the time because I was tagging along with my ex who was on tour with the circus. And I was teaching this middle-aged woman who was very prim and proper, nails done. She looked like a professional and was always very pretty and well done. And she wanted to start parkour as like something different, something interesting early in the morning. And our first couple of sessions, like she wouldn't roll on the ground. I had to lay down a yoga mat for her, you know?
Yeah, I feel you.
And it wasn't until our third session when I said, okay, you know the moves, you've drilled them, you're doing them safely. Now put together a line. And she was like, what? I said, yeah. So from here to there, you can do whatever you want. Here's some examples. I showed her some examples. Like here, you could do a lazy and you could step right into a roll, go right into, safety. And I said, you pick. And her mind just blew. And then she put together her line. I said, okay, do you think you could take out this step here? And she said, oh yeah, I don't need that extra step. And when she finally put it all together, I didn't know she was capable of showing emotions. She was so stoked.
That's awesome.
She was so stoked. And she said, I'm not going to post it or anything, but could you film me? And I thought this was the most amazing thing ever. It proved what I always thought, that everyone could benefit from parkour, and especially the people who think they can't do it. And then I imagined trying to invite her out to a jam. Oh. Right? Yeah. If she showed up to a jam and she saw all those young guys, doing things that are really impressive that they trained for, but people
intimidating also.
Yeah, but it's intimidating. Yeah. And then I imagined bringing her to a woman's jam and how inspiring that could have been for her.
I got you.
That could have taken her from just taking private sometimes to wanting to be a part of this community.
Totally.
And I thought, I get it now.
Now it clicks.
It's still difficult to understand. It's almost intangible, but I get it now.
Yeah. Okay. And so along the lines of like you always feeling included, I feel like one of the things we have to mention is what you're sporting right now. So what is Rilla Hops? How did you get involved with them? And I think you're still like, a proud member of them, right? So like what does Rilla Hops entail?
Yeah, of course. Well, like I said, the first guys that I trained with, the guys that taught me parkour were Caleb Uliano and Gareth Norvell. And we were all just hanging out training. Caleb came down with Nikki from, I want to say Tennessee. Yeah, right. Where's my brain going? Yeah. So it was me and Nikki and Caleb and Gareth, and Jeff at the time was coming in and out, a friend of ours, Jeff, and our friend Jimmy. And Caleb said, we all said we should make a team. Because, we should make a team and then put out videos as a team. How cool would that be?
That was the thing to do back in the days, was be on a team and put out team videos.
And Caleb said, there's no team with girls on it. And because there weren't at the time. And they said, we got to do this. We got to capitalize on this, man. We got 2 girls that are doing jumps. And they said, okay, so it was a no-brainer. They called the team Rilla Hops because Caleb had made a video a few years prior called Rilla Hops 100%.
Okay.
Of just, his friends being crazy, having fun. And there's a video of him and Gareth wrestling in the grass. It's just it's the funniest stuff. And he just tackles Gareth and says, you thought baby Rillas were going to be safe? And I said, you know what? I got this. I drew a gorilla in Photoshop and I added that sound.
No way.
And we made Rilla Hops, and the first video was just me and Nikki, called Girls to Men.
No way. Okay.
Yeah.
And do you remember how long ago that was that you first joined the team?
Yes, that was at the end of 2013, I believe, or beginning 2014. Yeah.
And do you guys still keep in touch at this point in your lives?
Of course. Okay. At this point, Gareth is pretty injured. Jimmy's pretty injured.
The curse of the parkour athlete.
Yeah, the curse of the parkour athlete. We're in different states. Jimmy is up north, and Gareth and Caleb are still in Orlando, but Caleb's thinking about moving to Texas, I think. Okay. And I'm in LA and visiting Texas. So we're far apart, but yeah, we keep in touch. To me, those guys are family. Okay. Like straight up family, always.
Crazy. Now, I know along the lines of you obviously going to college over there in Florida, one of the first major breaks you got was doing a live show at Universal over in Orlando, if I'm not mistaken, right? What was the role that you got to play on there? And what was so, I guess, instrumental in making you want to commit to doing something like that?
Yeah, well, I thought I was going to be a video editor. You know, of course I had aspirations of my own in terms of projects. I really enjoy making docu-series, for example. But in terms of, you know, being an adult and getting a job, I thought I was going to be a video editor.
For those that don't know, you got a bachelor's in film.
Yes, I got a bachelor's of science in film at Full Sail. I graduated in 2014, and I very luckily got a video editing internship at Universal Studios.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But before and after that, I had other odd jobs. I had to film high school sports games. And then that's when I was like, how does anyone think parkour is dangerous? These soccer kids are killing themselves.
For real, yeah, totally.
Even more than the kids playing football.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
The kid had to get carried out every freaking game.
Yeah, soccer has like the most ACL injuries too. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when three people trying to kick the same ball. It's just common sense.
Yeah.
And I also, at one point when I didn't have work for a while, I was selling dog food too. I was a dog food sales rep. And I hated it because I had to lie and pretend my dog food was better than the other one. I was like, I don't know if it's better. It doesn't seem better. But yeah. So that's when I got exposed at the opportunity to do physical work, to do stunts, to do flips for shows at Universal, because Caleb had done Durmstrang.
Oh, yeah.
The show at Harry
Harry
Potter
show.
Yeah. And Gareth became a monkey in the Dora the Explorer parade.
Crazy.
They had a trampoline on a float. It was actually really
that's sick. That's sick.
It was actually really cool. But I think the first job that I got involving parkour, which is extremely random, before I ever did any live shows, was a commercial for Adidas.
Really? No way.
With Katie McDonnell.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, for Stella McCartney in London.
Crazy.
I have no idea how that happened at all. I guess that goes to show how important it is to produce content.
Yeah,
because they obviously found me from my YouTube videos.
Totally.
And at that point, I don't even think I had my own website yet.
Wow.
So that's when I thought, this is what I want to do. This is even an option?
Yes.
And I started auditioning for stuff, and I got into the 8th Voyage of Sinbad show at Universal, which I was so stoked about because I got to be a princess that got to wear pink but also fight demons and swing on ropes. Except I had to kiss like a almost 50-year-old sweaty Sinbad every show. And
every show?
It was real too. Like I assumed it was like, staging. A
stacked kiss?
Yeah, no, man. It was just both our lips wet.
I was gonna say mid live show. Oh Lord, yeah.
At the end of a show in Florida, so both our faces are just wet. Sweat.
The things we do for money, right?
Oh my God. But it was such a fun show. Especially I'll never forget when at the end in a meet and greet, a little girl came up to me, talked to me in Spanish, and I responded to her in Spanish, and her mom said, "Oh, look, mija, you see, it's a princess that speaks Spanish. Ahí está."
Cool.
And I was like, oh, it was another one of those I get it moments. Totally. And not long after that, I got in the Flying Fish Market show. Okay. Which was, we had a couple of mini tramps, a fun stage that we slid across on our stomach. No. It was a very small, thing, and had to just do a bunch of flips on thin mats and on concrete. Crazy. That was the body destroyer. I bet. That show was fun because we could just like screw around and mess with the audience. And I loved doing that, but it was 6 shows a day. I was going to ask how many a day. Holy crap. And the amount of flips we did a day, I counted, exceeded 100. No way. Every day. Yeah. It was. Holy crap. And everyone got destroyed. Everyone's knees went. Everyone had a shoulder tear. Everyone. Live shows in general, I feel like destroy people's bodies. Yes, I agree. Yeah. It's insane. It's like the repetition or something. But it's a lot of shows per day too. That's crazy. 6 shows is a lot in a day. Yeah. Yeah, it was a 15-minute show, but it was, right under the sun, in Satan's ass crack, Florida. Like it was exactly. Yeah. And after that, I managed to be in the first cast of the Secret Life of Pets show. No way. Yeah, wow. At Universal, which was fun. We roll out some stuff, get to do some Websters off some things, back tucks, and do some dancing. That was fun.
Okay.
I think something that's really important to note, especially within my career and how it can apply to other people, I've always been hired for things because I can do parkour and something else.
Totally.
So I could do parkour and act. I could do parkour and dance.
100%.
I could do parkour and, host.
Yes.
Like in the fish market show.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah, it's really important to have a diverse skill set. You don't have to be the best at everything. I think it's more useful to have an amalgamation of skills.
Yeah, I tell people all the time it's best to be like a Swiss Army knife. Even in the film industry as a stunt person,
Yeah.
if you're just good at like one thing, they're going to hire someone else who can do multiple things, especially to take you on a long run or like a movie for 6 months. They're going to want someone that can do fights, also do weapons, can fall, do a little parkour, a little flipping, so yeah, it's good to be a Swiss Army knife,
Absolutely.
Yeah. 100%. And so I know one of the other live shows you got to do, because I was actually involved with it on the development side, is you actually got to work with Cirque du Soleil at one point as well.
That's right. He did work on Volta.
I did, yeah.
Yeah. This is a really funny story because I was actually training with Tamala Ben in Tampa.
Okay.
And it was a day that I wasn't working. I still had the 3 shows at Universal that I was doing.
Wow.
And I smashed my quad into the edge of a wall.
Okay.
Because I slipped in some dirt really hard.
Okay.
Like, I could not even hold in my tears. It was the craziest. Like,
Crazy.
I still think that was some of the most pain I've ever felt.
No way.
When I contused my quad.
Yeah.
I was just laying on the ground, stunned. And my phone rang. And I said, hello? Is this Miss Lorena?
Hey, at least I said your name right, right?
We're calling from Montreal with Cirque du Soleil. And I was like, you're what? What?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they asked.
That's crazy.
They're like, can you be here in 3 weeks? I said, what? Yes. So I dropped everything I had in Florida and just went. And thankfully, I was already friends with Erica Madrid, who was already in that circus. She's amazing. And we put 2 and 2 together before they told me anything. Erica said, I just injured my knee. And I said, so we were both like,
We know what's happening.
Yeah.
Wow.
But, she was so sweet. Crazy. It was so fun working with her over there and working in that. I literally felt like a princess in a fairy tale. I was like, how am I here? How am I in this incredible place that with snow and incredible acrobats and beautiful costumes and an incredible stage? How is this even happening?
Totally. And so how long did you work on Volta for?
I was in Volta for 3 months.
Wow. Okay. Where'd you get to travel to for your stint of it?
I only did the Canada stint. I only did Montreal.
Oh, sick. So you did like the anchor show. Okay.
Yeah. But that's where I met my ex Joel. So he was a BMX rider. And since I wasn't sure where I wanted to move, I knew I wanted to do stunts. I knew I wanted to work in entertainment.
Okay.
But I wasn't sure if I wanted to go for New York or LA. Miami was an extremely small possibility.
Totally.
And Atlanta was also on the map. So I joined him for the tour and got my personal training certification.
No way.
And that's when I started taking private clients here and there. And yeah, I was like, screw Miami.
So of all the live shows that you got to do from Universal to Cirque du Soleil, did you see a difference in the level of, I guess, professionalism or like a bigger stage being on a Cirque stage finally? Like, was there any more pressure or did it feel the same since you'd done so many live shows?
It honestly, I didn't feel any more pressure just probably because the people that I was working with were so kind and welcoming and really cool. But I just really love an audience.
Yes.
That's
live feedback.
When I got to do Ultimate Tag, that was the dream because it was for TV, but I also had an audience.
Totally.
I love running in there and messing with people. I love singling out people. I know when you're a little kid, I loved making core memories, pointing at a kid in the crowd.
Totally.
And knowing he was going to remember that. So, yeah, I just really like live shows a lot. And I also don't take myself very seriously, so I don't actually feel afraid of slipping up.
Okay.
Like, I would be dreadfully horrified if I slipped up in front of a stunt coordinator. But a live audience, I don't mind being the clown.
No
I'll
way.
laugh at
Okay.
myself, and they'll laugh with me.
And they'll remember it.
Yeah.
It's a memory. Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And so there was also another show that I know you started to get a lot of exposure on, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it because I'm going to butcher it. So I'll let you say the correct name of it. But what was that show and where was it based out of? Because it seemed like I don't know how to explain it. You'll have to explain in depth like what it is, but it looked like a series of challenges and you were on teams and things like that. So what was that show properly said so I don't butcher it?
Yeah. So when we were back in Canada, I think, visiting my ex's family, I got another random call. Well, actually, I got an email through my website's contact submission form.
Wow.
I've gotten a couple of jobs through there. It's really important to have a website, y'all.
Totally. So have I.
And
It's
then
very important.
I just got a straight up phone call from someone who was casting for a show called Exatlon Estados Unidos.
I had no chance of that.
Yeah, Exatlon is weird to say. So
What does that translate to?
Exatlon doesn't mean anything.
Oh, okay. It's just a
Maybe
name
it
of
means
something.
something in Turkish. It was made by the same Turkish guys who made Survivor.
Oh, okay.
It's made by Akun Media.
Okay,
That
okay.
production company. So someone decided it would be a good idea to combine Survivor with like Ninja Warrior.
Okay.
They were like, putting these two together makes sense. We're going to make that a show. And then, I'm sorry, I don't know how much you're allowed to curse. I curse a
Oh, you
lot.
can curse. You're
Oh,
totally
yeah. I was
good.
like, my dumb ass was like, getting on that might be a good
Yes.
idea. I actually wasn't, but my dad convinced me. So
Really? Okay.
the premise of the show is that there's two teams. A red team, the famosos, or the famous people,
Okay.
and the blue team, the contendientes, or the contenders.
Okay.
And the red team was supposed to be composed of like famous people, whether they were professional athletes, ex-Olympians, or actors, whatever. And the blue team were supposed to be just randos.
Okay.
I would have been a rando.
Okay.
And they compete 6 days a week in team competitions,
Wow.
but they also have a winning, losing percentile individually.
Okay.
And each day they compete for different prizes. Once a week, they compete to stay in the good house, which is called the Fortaleza.
Okay.
So if your team loses that week, you got to stay in the bad house,
Nice.
which is La Cabaña,
Okay.
which doesn't have a shower and you kind of sleep on the floor and
Wow.
you get less food.
Okay.
And yeah, so everyone is deprived of food for some reason. The Fortaleza just has more food than the Cabaña. But some of the prizes for some of the games would be like a dinner,
Fancy. Yeah. I got you.
you know?
Yeah.
And we were also cut off from communication to the rest of the world. So obviously no cell phones, nothing, had no idea what was happening outside.
And where'd you shoot this and for how long?
So this was shot in my home country, the Dominican Republic,
Wow,
which was
okay.
extra weird.
Crazy.
And I was on it for 4 months because I
Holy
made it to third
crap.
place.
4 months.
Yeah.
Did you get paid to be on the show or is it only if you win a prize?
Oh God, I would have never done that if I didn't get paid. It wasn't great though. We were paid, the contendientes, we were paid $2,000 a week
Okay.
for surviving, for not getting eliminated.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the red team, some were getting like $4,000 a week, some were getting even more. And all of that was literally supposed to add to the contention. They wanted us to hate each other.
To see the skewed levels.
Yes, they wanted the
Holy
contendientes
crap.
and the famosos to hate each other. Like the Turkish guys would literally like swat at us if we were talking to the other team and being friendly.
No
It's
way.
absolutely ridiculous.
And what was the grand prize? I guess what was like the goal
The
at the
grand
end of it all?
prize was $200,000.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And
Holy
that
crap.
went to an individual person. But there was also a team prize. Once a week when we competed, we would also compete to get to play the money game.
Okay.
And throughout the show, you put money in the bank, so to speak, for your team as you play the money game
Got
when
it.
you win those games.
Okay.
So you win, your team, the team that gets to keep the cash from the money game is the team that has the most out of 8. Oh no, the most out of 7. The most out of 7.
Okay.
At the end of the show when everyone's been eliminated.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
whichever team is left with 4 people and
They
the
win.
other team with like 3.
Wow.
But we decimated the other team so bad
no way.
that we won the money game when we still had 6 or 7 people.
Oh, so it was early on.
Like 6 people.
Super early on. Okay.
Yeah, it was like a month ahead of when it was
Yeah.
supposed to happen.
Okay.
And the money was only supposed to go to 5 people, but we convinced the production to split it evenly among
that's cool.
Yeah, I think the 7 of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So thank God for that money.
I was going to say.
Because that show was intense. I fully knew that I was going to be deprived of food.
Yeah.
And I surprised myself with how well I coped being hungry.
Wow.
I mean, you can pretty much just deal with anything if you just decide to deal with it.
What was harder, not having food or being cut off from the world socially?
Being cut off from the world, for sure.
Okay.
Because I was seeing things behind the scenes that I didn't like.
Oh.
This organization, the doctors being super sketchy, and I could feel myself getting on the bad side of the producers for bringing up some of these issues.
Yeah.
Because, some of these guys have an ego where, they think they're king of the world. And you think bringing up something very basic, they take it as, a personal offense or a lack of gratitude.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how I was being portrayed on TV at all.
Which is tough because they're in charge of the edit.
Yeah. So I didn't mind sleeping on the floor. I didn't mind being hungry. It was the other stuff, the unprofessional things that really messed with my head. And I think that was the only time in my life where I can say that I actually experienced depression.
Wow.
Which I guess I would categorize as going several days without feeling any happiness at all.
Yeah.
Like at all.
Wow,
just being
crazy.
dead. And it's really humbling because there's people that suffer from this chronically throughout their whole life.
Yeah.
And that's just the worst thing I think I can imagine.
Totally.
Like, I'm so lucky.
Do you think you would ever do reality TV again, or did that leave a bad taste in your mouth?
I already said that I'm not working with them again. I did go back for the second season of Exatlon as a coach.
Okay.
For 2 reasons. One, because I was really excited at the idea of being a coach because I was really bad at Exatlon. Every obstacle course ends with a different kind of target challenge, whether it's throwing or frisbee or bowling or soccer, weird marbles on tables, some kind of precision throwing challenge. And I was terrible. I'm Dominican. I'm supposed to be good at baseball. I was so bad.
Yes.
But I made it to 3rd place because I practiced for 2 hours every morning. I literally had to make a very specific technique for each throw. So the idea of coaching that and giving a team a leg up seemed so enticing to me.
Okay.
I felt like I could be really helpful. And also, I wanted to pay back the favors that the local Dominicans had done the first time I went. Like, there was one guy, I don't give a fuck saying this now. I had, 3 months into the show, I was really, really upset. And I didn't know if I should leave or not. Wow. So I escaped.
Left the show?
No. Well, yeah, just went where I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, just ventured on your own.
Yeah. And I remember we were staying in the nice house, which had AC. And I programmed the AC remote to have the time because we weren't allowed to know what time it was.
Totally. Yeah.
And I would go out at 5 a.m. And I made a friend, a Haitian construction worker, that lent me his cell phone.
No way.
Yeah, and I called my parents.
Oh, yeah. Crap. Crazy.
Yeah, and they told me what was happening on the outside, and I got, back in the right mental state to decide what I wanted to do.
Wow.
And so I wanted to find those people and pay back their. There was also a lady who threw us bread, threw a coconut bread that she homemade through a bus window.
You're like, thank you.
Yeah, they were, security guards. Dominicans are just so kind that would give us, cookies, sneak us things. Yes. So when I went back, I went with my mom.
Oh, wow.
Because I was a coach now. I wasn't a lowly competitor.
Totally, yeah.
I was only there for 3 weeks, but we brought 3 giant duffel bags full of stuff.
Nice.
And we got to find everyone, even the bread lady.
Wow, and you paid her back.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Now, I know one of the positive things that came out of that is your nickname.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, and
so
I do want to say the other positive thing that came out of Exatlon was my teammates.
Okay.
I mean, the reason that we made it so far as a team was because we loved each other.
Okay.
I got so lucky. All of us, we still have a group chat, both on Instagram and on WhatsApp.
Crazy.
We all vibed so well. And my teammates were definitely the best part of that show.
Okay.
And from that show, I also got my nickname.
Yes.
Like week 2, week 3 or something, all of a sudden the announcer called me La Hormiga Atómica, which translates to the atomic ant.
Yes.
And after the race was over, I was full of mud. I said, did you guys hear that? He called me La Hormiga Atómica. I said, I hope he keeps calling me that. I love it.
No way.
And it stuck.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's still what the viewers of the show see me as.
Wow.
And I'm very happy about it. I'm very grateful for that nickname. I love it.
So funny. I mean, it's even translated over to when you went to Fox and did Ultimate
Yes.
Tag. That was your nickname as well, right?
Yeah, sometime after Exatlon, I got called too to do Ultimate Tag.
Crazy.
That was also a phone call. This is crazy how many things happen from
I was like,
phone
thank God you have your
Yeah.
phone number listed somewhere,
I
right?
know,
Yo,
yeah.
this is crazy.
Yeah, I just did like a Zoom audition and
Okay.
then they flew a bunch of us out there to test. And they were coming up with like superhero type nicknames for everybody, right?
Yes, yes.
And they kind of asked us if we had any. And I told them, oh yeah, well, I was La Hormiga Atómica in this show. And they said, say no more.
Done deal.
And they made my hair purple,
Yes.
which I had no idea was going to happen. I actually asked them, I said, hey, since this show is a little bit more whimsical and we're going to have costumes, can I dye my hair? Because I wanted to like make the tips of my hair blue or something, or whatever color you guys want.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, I've always just wanted to, dye my ends some kind of fun color. And they
Okay.
said, oh, don't worry. We'll take care of that
We
for
got you.
And then the guy just made my whole head purple.
Be careful what you wish for.
Oh, I was stoked because I said, oh, I thought it was just going to be the ends. And the hairdresser, he's JR Hair God on Instagram. He's incredible. He said, oh, honey, they want you to look like a K-pop star.
Wow.
And I said, well, that's exactly what I want to look like.
Amazing.
Yeah. Like, what even is that? I got to wear, like, someone who likes to cosplay. Like, I got to
Totally.
wear a costume
Totally.
and run around chasing contestants.
And doing parkour alongside
on
people
a live
you know.
show
Yeah, exactly.
with an audience. And in between races, the DJ, I'd be like, play Cupid Shuffle. And I like run in with the audience and make them dance.
To the left. Amazing. And so obviously between those two experiences, I mean, I don't know if this is, I even didn't ask, but what was your favorite one between the two?
Oh, in terms of in not being depressed. That's
That's what I'm
ultimate
saying.
tag, of course.
Maybe I don't need to ask.
Yeah,
But-
but I don't regret anything though. I'm very grateful for the time I spent in Exatlon. I
Okay.
learned a lot and I grew a lot. And I also forgot to mention that's where I got 2 of my dogs, Piña and Coco.
No way. How did that work
They
out?
had a bunch of stray dogs on the beach. And I suppose in Turkish culture in Turkey, the dogs are considered like citizens. Like everyone just kind of
Oh.
feeds them and
Okay.
they're considered part of society.
They just take care of
They're taken care of. The street dogs
Kind of
are
like Santorini. I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. If you've ever been to Santorini, there's just like dogs and animals that like run around. They just get taken care of. It's crazy.
Yeah. So there were a lot of stray dogs on these beaches. People would apparently come and dump their dogs on the beaches where we filmed because they knew the Turkish people took care of them.
Wow.
And there were these 2 puppies
Okay.
that one of my teammates, Kenny, found like a quarter through
And
the
this
show.
is like mid-taping?
This is while they're shooting after game interviews.
Okay, okay.
So
I got
it's
you,
after
I
the
got you.
game. They're like, how did you feel?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah,
The
blah.
recap interview.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were next to one of the obstacle courses and there were these 2 tiny, tiny puppies and they were so cute. And but they were really far away from the other dogs.
Okay,
They were very isolated. So when the show was over, I said, I don't know if this aired on TV. I didn't actually watch the show, but I said in the ceremonia, that I fully intended on finding those 2 dogs if they were still alive and taking them.
Wow. So you went back to find them.
It was actually when the show was over because we had to stay there. We called it purgatory
Yes.
because there was like a 7-day delay between
Okay.
shooting and airing. So we had to stay.
So no one knows who
Yeah.
kicked off?
Supposedly with no communication still.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
people wouldn't know who got eliminated.
Of course.
But since I made it to 3rd place, I made it to the end where they brought our families.
Oh,
So
okay.
my mom watched my last race and she like left me her cell phone. She left me money.
Just breaking all the rules.
Yeah.
Oh, so funny.
She's like, Lorena, I was so worried when I saw you because you looked not okay. I
Wow,
was like,
that's crazy.
it wasn't. I had an infection in my knee. By that time. But one of the Argentinian guys that built the obstacle courses found the 2 puppies for me.
No way.
Yeah, and he lent me his truck so I could take them to the vet.
And so you had to bring them back to the States, or like, how'd you do this?
Yeah, it was actually really easy. It was because they looked messed up though, because they had whole patches of fur missing. They had mange.
Wow.
One of them we turned out to have distemper that we had to deal with later.
No way.
It kills dogs. It's rare that she survived. These two sisters.
Crazy.
And I took them to the vet, got them their vaccinations, and got rid of their ticks and fleas. I put little outfits on them so they looked less ugly, so they looked less sketchy. And all you need to do to bring a dog into the U.S. is have their proof of vaccination, and that's it.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, Europe requires
Crazy.
a pet passport,
Yeah,
which sounds a lot more difficult. But
Okay.
I just brought them,
Crazy.
and I put the outfits so they didn't look too messed up.
No
And
way.
when I brought them through security in Miami, the security guard started looking in there, and I said, "Oh, I just rescued them." And
I'm not an abusive dog owner.
yeah, and he said, "Oh, they're so cute. I rescued dogs too." And that was it. They were in the States.
Amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so
now they're in
crazy.
Texas with my family, because they became a pack with the other 3 dogs we had.
Okay.
Now they're super tight knit,
Amazing.
little pack of dogs.
Now, of the things that you've had to overcome, obviously with Exatlon being something to overcome mentally, I know one of the things physically you've had to deal with recently is the ACL injury.
Yeah.
So what happened with that, and how long did it take for you to come back on the road to recovery?
Yeah, it was such a bummer, because when I got out of Exatlon, I did ultimate tag almost a year later.
Yeah.
And it was then when I realized that my shins were hurting way too much.
Oh, okay.
I had a bump on my shin ever since I left Exatlon, but I didn't know what it was, and I assumed it was shin splints or something.
Yeah.
'Cause I didn't know what anything was. I didn't know anything about anything.
That's what we all think
And
it is. Shin
yeah.
splints, yeah.
But in ultimate tag, my shins were just in agonizing pain the whole time.
Okay.
And that's when I found out those aren't shin splints, they were stress fractures.
No way.
And I felt so betrayed by every physio I had seen, because they were so obviously stress fractures.
Yeah.
So obviously. I have a 20-minute video on YouTube explaining the difference between shin splints, stress fractures, and compartment syndrome for anyone who wants to check it out.
Okay.
And I still get comments from people saying, "Thank God for this video."
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have known the difference.
How'd you find out finally? An X-ray or what?
Yeah,
revealed
an
it?
X-ray. An X-ray showed like 3 stress fractures in my right shin, like 4 in my left. Yeah, and my right one had the big one that had like a big old bump. So I had to deal with that, and that is like a single stress fracture took out Lin Young for a long time,
Wow.
and I had like 8 of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say 4 and 3. That's
Which I
great.
don't. So the thing with stress fractures is that they have the possibility of being non-union, which means deciding to not heal ever again.
Totally. Never. Yeah.
So I dealt with that for like a year.
Wow.
I came back from that. They actually did heal. And then I finally started training again, started getting in the groove of things. And then it was actually for a Tempest, the Tempest online
video?
The online
no
video.
No way. That's when you got hurt.
I'm not really a free runner, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I didn't really,
sure.
if I'm being honest, I don't want to be rude, but I didn't want to do it. But, they kept saying that we need women to submit. We need female representation. We need women to submit to keep, the prize money equal, to keep the brackets equal. And I was like, that's true.
You're like, I get it.
So I was literally, I had the worst mentality for training that day. I was just like, I don't want to do this.
No way.
And I was tired. So I put together like whatever line, and for no reason, because like you saw in the video, it's not like I valgused. It's not like my knees caved when I landed. Like I landed, and then my right knee just went on the inside.
Crazy.
So after recovering from stress fractures, I blew clean through my ACL.
Totally tore it.
100%.
Wow, just from that. That's so crazy.
And it's crazy because I went to I don't know why. Don't go to the ER if you bust your knee. They're not going to do anything.
They don't do anything. They
don't
tell
do
you to just
anything.
set an appointment with the doctor later.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought I could get an MRI.
Not the same day.
I don't know
Not at
why I
all.
thought I could get an MRI that day.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. If it's in
But
Europe, maybe, but not
Yeah,
here.
right?
Yeah.
So I went, and the doctor did all the checks on my knee, and he said, "Good news, your ACL is perfect." I got the MRI a few days later, and the radiologist, who was an old family friend, was like, "It's trash, man."
You're like, all right.
Literally, he's from New York. He's like, "Oh man, it's trash.
No
I don't
way.
even know how you didn't blow everything else."
Wow. Crazy. So did you have to go into surgery on that?
Yeah, I had to get it. There was no chance of that just magically putting itself back together.
Totally.
So I got a patellar tendon graft.
Yes.
And I also had a big bone bruise on my medial tibial head.
Oh, wow.
Because my knee dislocated when I landed and like smashed together like that. So my tibial and femur head smashed together.
Crazy.
And then it snapped back in when my foot came back up.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so the recovery was a pain because my mom and I, we just tend to scar excessively and overreact to invasive procedures. But the bone bruise healed itself. And I actually think that's because I had to run like 50 times on a stunt job last year.
Okay.
It's the same thing with my stress fractures. I honestly think the additional micro trauma stimulated osteoclast activity.
Totally.
Because my bone bruise disappeared.
Crazy. And so what was the length of recovery on your ACL?
For me, it was longer than most people. Okay. It was there's people who are doing back tucks at 6 months.
Yeah.
For me, it was more like 9 months.
Still 10. Not bad though. Still less than a year. Okay.
Yeah. And the thing is, I say to getting back to like 85% of what I was doing before.
Yeah.
You know? So I play the long game now.
Yes.
I'm not the rubber child that I used to be.
Totally.
And I parkour is something that I want to enjoy when I'm 90.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And parkour is something that I want to do regardless of whether I'm good or not, regardless of whether I get any views on Instagram. Like, I just want to jump on some curbs and be happy. Yes. So I'm being patient.
Okay.
Not trying to be too crazy.
Totally.
But thankfully, my knee is good now.
Wow. That is super crazy. Yeah, I know how difficult injuries can be. More so sometimes mentally for people coming back. It's like just lack of faith and trusting it and stuff. Do you feel fully confident in it now to train pretty normally?
Yeah, I haven't done a bunch of flips yet.
Okay.
Just because I also, now that I'm getting more stunt work, which I also really enjoy. All I've ever wanted to do was work in movies. I went to film school,
Totally.
It's my other dream, parkour.
Exactly.
So I'm being extra careful with that. But it's always been stable. And that's because I've always done a lot of single leg Romanian deadlifts.
And I commented on your page this last week because that's the thing I hate more than anything at PT is SLDLs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just don't like doing them on. I mean, you kill it. You're so, for those that don't know what we're talking about, her single leg deadlifts are insane. And she does them on like Bosu balls and all kinds of different things. You do them weighted, unweighted. So yeah, you've always cross-trained, I guess, right?
Thank you. Yeah. Like I said, when I was with my ex in about 2017, 2018, I got my personal training certification.
Makes sense.
And I learned a lot.
Okay.
And I have to either watch a buttload of seminars or get more certifications to recertify that.
Okay.
So the next thing I did was the corrective exercise specialist certification.
Okay.
And I actually just finished my certified nutrition coach
Sick.
course. So I learned a lot. Caleb had already taught me a lot about lifting and prehab.
Yes.
So now I learned even more, and I had a much better understanding of how it works and why it works.
Okay.
So I'd like to think that's why I didn't blow everything else in my knee, even though it like fully dislocated.
Totally, yeah.
And I'd like to think that's why it felt stable, even in the earliest. Like, instability is not something I ever felt in my knee, just pain.
Okay. And so how many days a week do you cross-train, and what do you do in addition to SLDLs? Do you do like full body conditioning? Because I also see you do like a lot of upper body stuff sometimes in your posts as well.
Everything else is pretty much what I do for fun. But I think strength training is really important for power sport like parkour.
Yeah.
Because if you look at precision jump, whether you're landing a standing precision or landing a running precision, the landing aspect, like let alone the taking off, the landing aspect is a loaded eccentric. Your momentum is the weight.
Totally.
So you're doing a squat. Doing a weighted squat is the best thing you could do if you're a jumping athlete.
Yes.
And it increases your basal metabolism rate. It increases your muscle density. And it also makes you more explosive. And a lot of people don't get this. Like, how does lifting heavy weight make me more explosive? Just because you have muscle doesn't mean that your nervous system can tap into it fast enough to perform a jump.
Totally.
A jump happens in the fraction of a second, or at least it should.
Yeah.
Especially a reactive jump like a plyo or a stride. So when you lift a weight that's very heavy, you are training your nervous system to recruit as much of your skeletal muscle as it can, as quickly as it can, in order to support the weight.
Okay.
So I'm a big proponent of squatting.
Yes.
You don't have to do it a lot. I think once a week, even once a week, but twice a week is what I like to do.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It just depends on what your goals are.
Crazy.
And calisthenics, like pull-ups and stuff, I just enjoy it.
Yes.
90% of parkour is pulling when it comes to upper body because it's
true.
climb ups and climbs. So it's funny looking at parkour guys, tiny biceps and huge triceps.
So true.
And something that I'm really advocating for now, which if you had told me a year ago, I would have called you crazy.
Okay.
I'm really advocating for Pilates now.
Really?
I really think everyone should do Pilates.
Wow. Okay.
Because, like I said, I've always done very functional exercises that translate to sport. So all of my exercises target compound muscle groups, not just isolating anything.
Totally.
And they're all very functional to movement and for efficient hypertrophy. But there's things you miss.
Yes.
And what happens with Pilates is that Pilates finds and strengthens that 1% of auxiliary muscles, whether it's smaller muscles or stabilizers, your obliques, even your tendons, and brings it up to snuff with the rest of your body.
Okay.
Once you fill out that 1% that you're missing, you unlock so much strength.
I can imagine.
It's crazy. It's so much more effective than trying to make your quote unquote big important muscles even stronger.
Totally.
It's targeting your other muscles because the Pilates, at least the Pilates that I do, which are from a YouTuber called Move with Nicole.
I know who that is. Yeah.
Yes.
100%. I know exactly who that is.
I'm obsessed.
Totally.
Like the majority of her Pilates is some kind of plank variation.
Yeah.
Straight up. So it just targets all of my weaknesses and obliterated them. So when I went bouldering, I hadn't gone bouldering in like 5 months. And I went back and I went with someone who was much more experienced than me, who had been climbing frequently. And I was cheesing these routes, man.
Crazy.
Pilates, everything feels different now.
No way.
I was cheesing those routes. I was just, hanging in a full overhang by my fingertips and toes, and I was chilling.
No way. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like, especially in like a male-dominated sport like parkour, for example, we just view things like yoga and Pilates as very feminized forms of workouts. Mm-hmm. But like I tell my friends all the time, like I go to yoga and I'm the one sweating and shaking more than any of the females in class, you guys. I'm like, we just don't target all these little stabilizers that are focused upon,
Exactly. So. Even if you do the most functional exercises, even if you're like, I'm a cross-training athlete, I only do functional stuff, machines are for losers, you still don't get everything.
Yeah, totally.
But when you're doing a half-hour workout that's pretty much planks, you get everything.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and that's the best part. This girl's videos, they're 25, 30 minutes, and you're done.
Yeah.
And I can just shut off my brain, listen to her nice voice, and it's completely changed everything I do.
All right, I'm going to try some Pilates. All right, I'll try some.
Even in Taekwondo, I'm so happy because I did karate as a kid.
Yeah.
But it turns out what I thought I was actually just doing Taekwondo. I've heard that it's really weird. I got into K-pop and I thought it's weird that they used Korean commands in my karate class when I was a kid. I was like,
should have been Japanese.
Yeah, I was like, isn't that? Wow. Yeah, that's weird. And then I started doing Taekwondo with Simon.
Shout out Simon Rhee.
Cindy, and Cindy Rhee, and I just kind of finished the first form Cindy was showing me. She said, "Yeah, you did Taekwondo."
You did Taekwondo.
So now I'm taking it up again from scratch,
Crazy.
And I'm really excited because this time I intend to see it all the way through, and I feel the difference that having done parkour makes.
Okay.
Compared to when I was a kid.
Totally.
Parkour and now Pilates, like I just feel like the most elite human that I've ever been.
Wow, that's crazy. All right, shout out Pilates.
Yeah, seriously.
Hell yes. And so like we kind of touched on briefly, I know one of the things you're really trying to delve in now, especially being out here in Los Angeles, you have the opportunity to pursue it more so, is diving into the world of stunt work and getting the chance to. You may not be able to talk about it tons, but I know that one of the projects you did get to work on recently is a Doctor Strange film, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. It feels weird because I don't see any of the other stunt people who worked on it posting on Instagram. So I don't want to be the first one because I was just in the reshoots. I feel like, but it's on IMDb. I doubled America Chavez, the character America Chavez, who was played by Xochitl Gomez.
Okay.
Which is she's amazing. And the reshoots of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Wow. Okay. Sick.
That was like end of October through mid-December.
Wow. Okay. And so like of all the jobs that you've done so far, is that the one that's the most memorable as far as your stunt career is concerned, or what one sticks out in your mind, I guess?
That one's definitely the most memorable.
Okay.
I was sitting in my car with a friend in Texas because we were working on some stuff for my mom's gym, and I get a phone call.
This phone of yours.
And and it says, hi, it's so-and-so with Doctor Strange. And I just looked at the guy sitting next to me. I was like, oh, people, I have to audibly gasp because if you're listening, you can't see my face.
You're like, what?
I was stunned. And he said, can you be here tomorrow? And I said, yeah, I can be there tomorrow.
Crazy.
They needed a parkour girl because there was a parkour scene.
Ah, okay.
So they needed a more or less parkour specialist. And I also turned out to be a really good physical match for the actress.
Okay.
So, which was really cool.
Super sick.
So it was the first time in my life where I felt like a princess whisked away in a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Rude as a fly. Was in the circus. It happened again.
Totally.
I show up to this massive green screen world. Well, first I got to do rehearsals, which was really fun.
Okay.
And then we start shooting, and I'm in this green screen world of madness, shall we say.
Yes.
And I'm, again, a princess whisked away in a fairy tale. How am I even here? And I got to see some beautiful sets and got to shoot at Paramount Studios too.
Yes.
And I learned so much from my team, from the people there. Samuel Lay was coordinating.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask who it was.
Yeah, and he taught me so much. And Martin DeBoer was also like an on-set, like, I called him my angelito on set because he was just looking out,
I worked with Martin on one of his first films like over 10 years ago.
No way.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, he was so kind. And the rest of our stunt team, Josh and Steve, the riggers, and Brittany Servideo came on to double Rachel McAdams.
Awesome.
And Seth Duhame was also, the whole team was so kind. I keep getting really lucky where even in a place like Exatlon that didn't feel great to be in, I've had the opportunity to work with such kind, amazing people.
Totally.
Like, I don't know how I keep getting so lucky. And Sam Raimi was a dream.
Okay.
He was super gentle and soft-spoken and kind.
Totally.
And I've heard that there are directors that cannot be.
No comments.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know. And my actress, Xochitl Gomez, she is so talented. She straight up does parkour.
No way.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This is really cool. Pamela Forster, who's a
yeah.
longtime friend of mine,
Yes.
was her main double for the film.
Parkour OG. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Pamela had already been training her.
Sick.
So by the time she got here, she already had it in her bones. And
Awesome.
Sochi also does wushu.
Oh, okay.
Which is really cool.
Totally.
So working with her was also a dream. She's also super nice and really chill. And
So cool.
Yeah.
And so is that the focus nowadays? Is it to focus predominantly on stunt work, or what is the focus of your career at this point?
my focus is absolutely 100% stunt work. Okay. It was before. I just had, these setbacks, these injuries. But my mom has this weird sense of knowing. I call it a knowing.
Okay.
I swear this woman creeps me out sometimes. She says things and they happen because she told me, Lorena, don't worry. I'm not counting on you for this gym because I know as soon as we get close to finishing, you're going to get like 5 jobs at once.
Yeah.
And I told her, well, it's been a pandemic.
Yeah.
it's been almost 2 years. I said, there's literally no mechanism by which that could just randomly happen. And then it happened.
Yeah.
Like around the same time I got Doctor Strange, I also got a Toyota commercial and a TJ Maxx commercial.
No way.
And then I just did a little Dickie commercial.
Oh yeah.
And now I'm going to do a day on another show, and I don't know how it's happening, but I'm going to train really hard to hopefully deserve it.
Hell yes. Yeah, right. They say luck is when opportunity meets preparation.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, you've put in the time and work, you know. So
thank you so much.
it's not by any chance, obviously. So yeah, just keep it up and don't get injured, and you'll be good to go.
Exactly. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. All you can do is prehab and rehab, and otherwise, you just have to accept the fact that sometimes shit just happens.
Yeah, it's an inherent part of our sports.
Yeah, I think I get really annoyed sometimes with this kind of old school parkour mentality, the like don't be a bitch mentality, or it's just your mental. Yeah. Or, you know, that coming back from an injury is more mental than it is physical, which I can see where you're coming from. Yeah. But also, a lot of people also like to say that injuries only happen when you're not in the right mindset. Sometimes shit just happens, man.
Yeah. Especially when you're doing stuff that's inherently risky. It could just happen, you know? So.
Which is why it's good to have other hobbies. So this is venturing a little bit into a different topic, but I think it's really important. Like the parkour sad boy syndrome. Yeah. Like you know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't even have to explain it, you know?
But explain it for our audience, though.
Yeah. So
I totally know what you're talking about.
Parkour sad boy syndrome is when, because I see it primarily in men. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that, you know, the sexism in society where men aren't given the tools to cope with emotion from the time they're little kids.
Such a great way to explain it.
And which is not cool. And I think there's a lot of guys out there that, especially back in the day, kind of made parkour their whole identity. Yes. And when that identity gets challenged, they kind of lose it. Yep. And they often lose it in a big dramatic way. Yep. Like severe anxiety, severe depression, sometimes full-on mental breaks. Yep. So I think it's really important, one, to have healthy coping mechanisms for emotions in general, and having a support system of friends, you know, and other guys and girls that you can talk to process these feelings. Totally. But also not making a sport your whole identity.
Correct. And having it define you completely.
And having it define you completely. Like, I'm Lorena Parkour on Instagram, but I know that parkour doesn't define me. Like, I like that name. I like how it sounds. I also love the fact that I love parkour is not going to change, right? Totally. So I'm Lorena Parkour on socials, but I like to do a lot of stuff. Totally. I like to sing and play the ukulele. I like to, now I like to read books. I like to.
And do Pilates.
Yeah, and I do, you know, I have a lot of different things to throw myself at. Yeah. And I think it's really important for everyone to have that. Yeah. For everyone to find a hobby, find an interest, find friends outside of the parkour circle.
A lot of people for the longest time, even my close friends, always looked at me and they're like, you're a psycho. Why do you take on so many different hats? Why do you try to do all these businesses outside? And I'm like, dude, because I've been injured so many times in my life that I know that if that gets taken away from me, I'm going to lose my mind. And I have to have these other things to focus on and divert my energy into in order to make sure that I'm not defined by something that gets taken away because I can't train for 9 months, you know? Yeah. When that happens, it's like you said, you get the sad boy syndrome. You kind of just lose everything and you don't really know what to do with your life because you've spent every day just honed in on one thing. So.
Exactly. Yeah. And you see it happen over and over again.
All the time.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, this is a question I ask everyone before we get out of here. So I'm super curious about your answer because you've been so well-rounded in everything you've done in your life.
Thank you.
I'm curious as to see if you've thought this far ahead. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? And then where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Well, I feel like it would be presumptuous to say that I see myself there, but my goal, what I've written down in my bullet journal,
better way to say it, yeah,
that I want to get so much stunt work that the phone doesn't stop ringing and I have to take a break from working because I'm sick of working because I'm working so much. Like, that's what I want to do. I just want to work in movies.
It's a good goal.
That's all. I just want to work in movies so bad.
Okay.
In any capacity, but namely in stunts. Of course.
It's a good goal. I'm going to tell you from someone that's hit burnout a few times, it's something that you never realistically think is going to happen. So it's good you already have that on your plate to know that mentally you do have to take breaks. Because I've gotten to that point where I was gone out of town 11 months out of the year, making the most money in the world, working on the biggest movies in the world. And then I almost hit depression because I lost my identity and I almost became defined by my work because it was like an everyday thing. So it's good you already know that. Yeah.
I think something that also helps for me personally, for example, the reshoots, they were long for the reshoots. It was like 2.5 months, 3 months. But I am good about getting up early and having me time.
So
and that's actually when I started Pilates. It was working on Doctor Strange.
Okay.
So I would get up at 4:30 if I had to.
Yeah.
And I would have an hour, 2 hours to myself.
Totally.
So that definitely, because when you finish a day at work, you don't want to do anything.
Too dead. People don't understand.
So yeah, if you just wake up, work, and come home, I can totally see myself losing sight of the boundaries between what is work Lorena and what is Lorena, you know?
Totally. Yeah.
But as long as I can have that little me time in the morning, I think I'll be good. So I hope I'm blessed enough to get to the point where I have so much work I don't know what to do with it. I'm going to try my best to make that happen.
Oh, yeah. It'll happen. Like I said, just put in the time, don't get injured, and the rest will go according to plan as long as you still have that same phone number that keeps ringing. So
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. So, before we get out of here, do you mind looking into this camera and tell people where they can continue to stay up to date with your own personal journey? And if you want, shout out the gym that you guys got coming out soon, too.
Yes. So I'm Lorena Parkour on all the socials, on Instagram and everything. Lorena Abreu on YouTube. And the gym, sorry, I blanked out. The gym that we're building in Pharr, Texas, close to McAllen, Texas, is called Kiskeya. So if you look up Kiskeya, I'm glad I didn't mess that up, Parkour, you should find it. We got the website up and everything, Kiskeya Athletics.
Hell yeah. With that being said, guys, please be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe for brand new episodes each and every week. Join us every Monday for Jam Breakdowns and every Friday for a brand new JAMCast, interviewing influential members of the movement community like Miss Lorena Abreu herself. So that being said, guys, I got to give one more very special shout out. Thanks for coming through. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
And as always, guys, coming through, I'm your host, Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us here on another JAMCast. Until next time, we'll see you all soon. Peace.